Well, hello and welcome again to Clean Nuts. As you can see, I've been distracted again by watches, and this is my Seiko 6139. Now, this isn't a new purchase for me. I've had it about 10 years, and it's so pristine and so lovely. I've shied away from using it, but I've always admired it, and when I do put it on occasionally, I feel good wearing it. And it reminds me of the old racing drivers in the 60s and 70s, and influential people who wore watches like this. Of course, one of them was a guy called Pogue, Colonel Pogue, who's famously wore one on Skylab. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about whether this actually fits the bill and whether it stacks up. Now, I'm reaching out to the YouTube community about this watch because it's one of those watches which are one of those items that you get, and when you look at it, it's almost too good to be true. And I've been taught in life that if it is too good to be true, or if it looks too good to be true, or it seems too good to be true, it generally is too good to be true. So let's have a look at this in detail and see if it stacks up. And this is the same process you'd go through if you were buying a car or a motorbike. You do your homework, and when you get there you have a good close look at it and see if it stacks up. So I've made a list of what we're looking for and see what these features tell us. First of all will be the case numbers and serial marks. Then there's the case identifying marks or features, so whether it's got certain details that make it stack up and the condition of the case. And then the dial and what that has said, and the hands and the strap, of course, is always easily changed. So let's get into it and have a look at each of those features one by one and see what they tell us. It's a bit like a detective story, really. So the first thing I guess we do is we look at the serial numbers on the back of the watch and look them up on the internet, see if we can get a date and a region for it. I went onto the internet and typed in "find the date of my watch, Seiko," and came out with a site called Watch Sleuth, where you can enter the serial numbers and get a date. So what does it say? It says stainless steel 6139-6000 waterproof, not water resistant, waterproof. And then we've got the 020292 serial number and the Japan. So let's start with the 6139-6000, see what that tells us. Well, I've put a link in the description to Watch Sleuth, so if you've got a watch like this you can check yourself. So this tells us February 1970, and it could be 1980 because they don't work in decades. The numbers aren't long enough. So one of the identifying features of an early 6139 is a notched case where the crown wheel is, and this one has it. While we're talking about crown wheels, can you see the dimple in the end of it? That's an identifying mark. And also look at the edges of the case. There's no sign of polishing. There's brushed surface on the top and polished sides, and the edges are quite sharp, which is a good sign apparently. We now turn our attention to the dial. It says Seiko automatic, not Seiko chronograph automatic. And on the 9 o'clock there's sometimes an inscription which says 70 metres waterproof on the early ones and 70 metres water resist on the later ones. And I think this watch is between the two, because there was a contentious issue about putting waterproof on the dial, or marking the watch as waterproof. Now the next identifying feature is the colour of the hands, the second hand and the minute counter at the 6 o'clock, and they're a nice tomato red colour. And there's comments on the internet that if they're orange they're not appropriate. So we move on to the strap, and this is the classic H pattern strap. We've got Seiko embossed on the strap, on the clasp, and on the inside of the clasp it says all stainless steel Japan. And there you have a close-up of the link removal system, which is the sliders that come out. Now, a clue as to which region it was destined for comes with the day wheel of the day-date complication, and this one is in French. So there you have it, Seiko 6139-6000, February 1970. Is it original? Is it as it came out of the factory, or is it a mack-up and a built-up Frankenstein out of other parts? Let me know your thoughts. I'd be interested to hear them. It's a watch I've loved and held for a few years, and I hope you've enjoyed reviewing it with me. And like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Clean Nuts.